So VW recently launched their Passat, and it's the international launch of that car. Ford also internationally launched the Mondeo, but now they're first to bring it to Ireland. And this is it, titanium model, and it was the grille that attracted my attention. It's actually missing some of the other bits that I'll show you in some other video. But I wonder, is it as good as a Passat? There's always been that war between the two of them. The Passat and the Mondeo has always kind of swapped places as to where it is. And internationally, at least, the Passat was a fabulous drive. Now, we've yet to see that in Irish spec, so let's concentrate on this one, which is an Irish spec. So driving the Ford Mondeo is, well, feels like a Mondeo. It's very quiet, very pliant. It feels like it should feel, and that's pretty much what I wanted from the Mondeo. In fairness to it, I actually wanted to feel that way. Now, the dashboard layout has changed. This one has an optional Sony stereo built into it and a big touchscreen on top of that as well, which is quite nice. I do appreciate the all LED dash. It's not quite all LED, but the center of it is, so the actual needles on the side of the gauge are actually LEDs, and so is the central console, but the exterior parts are painted as you would normally see. It is very quiet. As I said, this is the 1.5 EcoBoost. This one is 160 PS. PS is a bit like horsepower, right? A bit like brake horsepower. They're all slightly different, but it's around 160 brake horsepower, depending on how you measure it. And it is very quiet. I have to admit myself, even, it is very quiet in here. I do like that. It feels as quiet as the Mondeo, as the Passat that I drove. I'm really trying to compare the two because, you know, they're the biggest competition for one another in that segment, you know, particularly in the kind of fleet market or in the sales rep market. You know, the Mondeo and the Passat would heavily push out one another. Of course, there is the Mazda 6 to think of as well. That's always worth a thought because the Mazda 6 is actually quite a big, decent car. So what's 160 PS get you? Floor it and see what happens. Well, a very long rev range, that's for sure. Cornering, it's a Mondeo, all right. It actually oh, that corners pretty well, actually. That does corner pretty well, I have to say. Brake hard, turn in. Yeah, it's very crisp, very sharp on the corners, very nice. Guides you through the corner quite well. Little or no understeer. Very dry roads with some leaf litter along the side of it, but nothing terribly drastic. It is holding them corners quite nicely. Braking hard here. There's no big shift forward as I push down through the brake. Turning into a very narrow bridge now. Come back down a second in case nothing on it. Now we're free and clear. Some pedestrians, some lost individuals. Hello, lost individuals. And so we're back to the Mondeo difficult question. Is it better than a Passat? And until I drive the Passat in Ireland, I won't know. But right now I'm hedging a bet kind of two ways. I think the Mondeo might be slightly better to drive. I have a feeling the Passat is going to be the more desirable car because the Passat has evolved just nicely. Now it looks a bit more like the CC. It has more of a curvaceous look on the outside and it has more of a determined look on the front. That's in the higher spec one with the band across the front of it as well. The Mondeo just looks like a Mondeo going, you know, it looks like Clint Eastwood Mondeo, you know, with the squinty eyes. It looks like just a Mondeo has been squinting his eyes a little bit. And that isn't quite enough of a dramatic change. And even in here, I don't feel that dramatic change inside the cabin side either. So there you have it. The Ford Mondeo EcoBoost. It is good, comes with a good stamp of approval. But whether it's better than a Passat or not, I'll have to wait until I see a Passat in Ireland. But I can certainly say that the first shots of war have been fired. This has been Bob Flavin for Independent.ie.